let's talk about the great realignment in American politics that is apparently happening. Because things are changing in America. Things are interesting as well. I like watching American politics as kind of spectator sport, because obviously I can't go and vote. And so,
What do you mean? Yes, you can.
oh well, yeah, I could, but
it would be sort of he would have to take a trip to Mexico,
Yeah, I'm not
and it would be
prepared to-
smelly and awkward,
Yeah.
and so on. And I would, and
Too hot.
probably you like going to random places, but I
Yeah.
completely
why
understand
don't
why.
you smuggle yourself into America?
I'm going to go vote for Donald Trump a million times.
Yeah,
You'd also get some money.
leave Carl in his fancy
Yeah.
5-star resort.
Yeah, well, not that
champagne.
fancy, but bloody hell. Hi folks, sorry to interrupt the video, but I wanted to let you know that we've introduced a feature on the website that allows you to purchase individual videos. So if you go over to lotus.com and see a piece of premium content that you really want to watch, you can pay for it, and it is yours forever. But the point is, at the moment, nobody feels like they're winning in American politics, and I find this really interesting. This is from Pew Research, right? They say, as this presidential campaign comes along, 71% of Americans feel that their side, and this is on both sides, has been losing more than winning. So when Donald Trump was president, it was different. So 69% of Republicans felt that their side was winning when Trump was president, while only 29% felt like they were losing. And it's okay, that's interesting, because under Joe Biden, 62% of Democrats feel like they're losing. So it's like, so under Trump, Republicans felt like they were winning. Under Biden, the Democrats feel like they're losing. But overall, nobody feels like they're winning. It's like, so who is winning?
This may be just an expression. This is a guess from me, but there's something, because I write for a magazine that has a lot of American contributors and they're legal contributors. A lot of the articles by the American lawyers for law and liberty have focused on what Americans call the administrative state.
Yeah.
And one of the characteristics, if you read these various articles from lawyers across the spectrum, it's not just conservatives or just liberals, it's just a general observation of the way the US is governed, is the administrative state is just this giant bureaucratic bloated thing that stops anyone, any government of whatever stripe, actually doing things. So they can make all these motherhood statements, whether it's in the progressive places like solving homelessness, or whether it's in the more conservative places like law and order.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is, but this bloated administrative state where which is literally based on the movement of small pieces of paper from office to office, basically. But it doesn't do anything. It doesn't execute.
Yeah.
It stops governance from happening.
It's a giant set of gears that when you put a lot of energy in one side, it produces a small amount of energy at the end.
Yeah.
But this, I just think this is really interesting.
And that's how you can get people from both sides of politics thinking nothing's happening, it's all crap, and we can't do anything.
Sure, but people didn't think that when Donald Trump was in charge. It was the Democrats who thought, okay, we're losing when Donald Trump's in charge, and the Republicans are like, we're winning. But now the Democrats in charge, the Democrats are like, wow, we're still losing. I can't get over it.
Can I just point out something there?
Yeah.
In the run-up to the Joe Biden election, the Republicans thought, yeah, we're winning on all these issues, and the Democrats were like, man, we suck.
Yeah.
And then Joe Biden won.
And everyone was like, how did that happen? Which
Anyway.
we're going to. But anyway, so the Democrats are losing. That's the thing. They're losing
Oh, yes.
a lot of things.
I think, okay, people will clip this out and find me being wrong if I am wrong, and it will just be used to embarrass me. And so I caveat my remarks with this, with this observation, is I have a strong suspicion that Donald Trump is going to win in November.
A lot of people do.
And I'm going to quote an American economist who I have a lot of time for. His name is Arnold Kling. And he writes a Substack called In My Tribe, which is very good. And a number of times he's written pieces where he says, I genuinely think that if Trump is elected, and he's not making any comment about Trump here, he says, a large number of radical Democrats will try to reproduce what happened in 2020. It will happen again.
Okay.
And this guy is one of the calmest, most rational, even-tempered people I have ever encountered in my life. He is the last person I can think of to fly off the handle, Arnold Kling. If he's saying something like that, I'm sort of going, that's really not good.
Quite possibly. I don't think they're going to take it well. But the problem is they don't think they're doing very well under Biden. So how much worse can it get? But
Those graphs.
yeah.
That first graph.
Yeah.
So for people listening, we're looking at how Americans say they lean, and there's three groups: black, Hispanic, white. And over the periods, it's pretty much flat for everyone, except that the whites have now become incredibly more Republican, and now the blacks, for some reason, in the last couple of years, are going incredibly less Democrat.
But also the Hispanics. Very less
the Hispanics are just trending towards the white trend line.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm going to make my standard observation about American politics here. Why do you put Hispanic people in a separate category
Tribalism.
to the rest of the white people? Most of
Because they're Catholic.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I suspect it is. I can't prove that, but I swear a lot of it is to do with the fact that they're Catholic and their ancestors were all Catholic and they were colonized by Catholic countries, Spain and Portugal and this kind of thing. But I'm just sort of sitting there going, my PT is from Spain. Spain is a member of the European Union.
Some of them,
I go on
assume, are good
holidays to
people.
Spain. Honestly, America, get a grip.
Yeah, but Spain isn't the Hispanic peoples. They're not Anglos, is basically what it comes down to, I think. But the point is, as you can see, the Democrats are not doing very well with any of their sort of client groups where, the groups, they say, hey guys, we're just going to give you loads of money forever and everything will be great. And it's not doing very well. And the giant orange ego actually seems to be doing a lot better with a lot of these
that's
groups.
Really good. The giant orange ego. I'm going to steal that. That's really good.
This is what I like about Donald Trump. I like the fact that Donald Trump is literally the id of America come to life. And just saying we're going to fix everything that's really great, you're going to be tired of winning. And it turns out the Republicans weren't tired of winning yet. But the point is the Democrats are starting to panic. And so they're like, I mean, in this particular article from Axios is great. The drop-off for the Democrats comes even after Trump made several racist and bigoted comments about immigrants and people of color. It's like, clearly they don't care. Clearly that's just not a driving factor for them. We don't care if the giant orange ego is racist. We just care that our bills were lower than they are now.
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about American politics to know what difference a president to the executive could have. But law and order is a vote winner.
Oh yeah,
and if
but that's a local issue.
It is more local. And if you are associated with law and order, you will get a halo effect from that. And I'm sure Trump is getting a bit of that because it is true that the Republican governors and local authorities and state governors they tend to have more of a focus on law and order.
100%. I mean, but the Democrat strategists who they've been talking to for these articles, they have theories, right? So one of them is actually immigration wasn't good for us. Actually, replacing the voting demographics didn't work because they say, quote, many of America's non-white voters hold much more conservative views than the voting patterns would suggest. But also, Black Americans and Asian Americans have been as well as Latinos, have been upwardly mobile. The Great Society rhetoric no longer obtains. And because many of them are immigrants or the children of immigrants, they're not on the track of the civil rights legislation. So they don't come from a time where they have been openly discriminated against because of their race. They haven't been openly held down because of their race. And they don't buy into the line of oppression that the Democrats sell to the traditional minority.
There's another thing too, like the Vietnamese who went to Australia.
They're anti-communist.
The United States has taken, not as effectively, it's not managed its immigration program as well as Australia has, but it has taken very large numbers of people from what political scientists and demographers describe as middleman minorities or market-dominant minorities.
Yeah. Cubans.
So Cubans, Jews, Hakka Chinese, they're the Chinese Malays, historically Huguenots who came from France to the UK, the French Protestants, Kulaks in Ukraine, Armenians in the Ottoman Empire. These are middlemen minorities, market minorities. The defining characteristic of them, I'm afraid, is the really un-PC one, is they on average have higher IQs than the populations of which they are a part.
Upwardly mobile, hardworking, actually like capitalism because it allows them to get wealth.
So what happens with them is you will just inevitably get them voting for the party that is more, in this case, it tends to be more economically focused, the party that will not tax them as highly, the party that will make it easier for them to set up a business, to work in a trade, those kind of things. And you just cannot expect this lefty idea that all immigrants
they're all brown, Helen. They're all brown.
They're all going to vote
browns, Helen. We've been saying this. Look, with Democrats, we've been saying this for ages. Look, you're the Browns. You have to vote for us. And the Browns are like, actually, we don't. Like,
We vote for whoever we like.
Actually, I like the guy who made sure I had more
Because
money
they are
in my pocket.
Because they are all individuals, to risk sounding like bloody Monty Python.
But there is a track record here. I mean, the Black Americans are probably the most interesting ethnic group in America because it comes from, or at least the majority come from the slavery era. So the whole shift and everything else that's going on, they've been stuck Democrat for a hell of a long time. If they properly shift, I mean, this downward curve here is not small in the slightest.
All I'm saying, just one more mugshot of Trump. But I mean, literally, that's when it starts ticking up.
The political impact of that is huge.
I know.
But always remember, for example, that I'll give the two statistical examples that are extremely well documented. Men commit about 9 times as much violent crime as women.
Yeah.
I try.
Blacks commit, in the United States and in London, commit about 8 times as much violent crime as white or Asian men. Okay, you look at that and you think, my God, there's something wrong with men and there's something wrong with black men. In both populations, what you are seeing is what you saw with the monkeys, where the Indians took 2,500, took the ringleaders and the rest were fine. It's what is known in statistics as tail effects. And so you just get a concentration of people, of relatively small numbers of them, who are utter recidivists. You will get a list of priors as long as my arm, and I have a pretty long arm. And the thing is, those criminals might be black. All the non-criminal black people hate them too.
Oh yeah, when
that will explain that voting pattern.
A few years ago, when the defund the police thing was going on, they went around black communities and said, "Hey, don't you want to defund the police for oppressing?" They're like, "No, I want more police. Are you mad?
Have you seen my neighborhood?"
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen? Exactly.
Yeah. And so you are exactly right. It's a very, like probably 10% of the male population or something that's involved in this.
It's a problem.
Ultra violence.
And everybody else of both sexes,
no one wants to have anything
hates
to do.
and doesn't want anything to do with it.
But anyway, so
I'm not a fan of crime.
I don't like crime. I don't like it in my street. I don't like it in my community. Shock.
But anyway, that's the Browns. How about let's go on to the whites? Weirdly, the white working class also don't like the Democrats because they've been told that they're racist oppressors. And some guy in Alabama who's like, poking a goat with a stick is like, what? What are you talking about? It's just like, no, I'm just trying to get the goat to walk down the path. It's like, well, you've been hating black people, haven't you? It's like, what?
You and all your money.
Exactly. Weirdly enough, Donald Trump has got a much more appealing platform for the white working class. I mean, like, we go to the previous one, that was all whites. So even the university educated ones. Obviously, it skews a lot more with the normal American person who is very nice, respectful, hardworking, pays their taxes, and loves their family. Weirdly enough, Donald Trump's message of America good resonates better with them.
I notice he's not running so hard, and I think this is sensible on the Make America Great Again thing, because that implies that your country has turned to shit. And I can see why he was saying that, and why the people who came up, they would have been campaign strategists who came up with that. You can see why they were doing that as a campaign, and it worked well, and it looked good on their caps and all of that kind of thing. You can see why they did it. I'm not criticizing that, but it does imply that, oh dear, we were once great and we poo-footed ourselves. How did we do that?
Well, yeah.
And so...
Well, I don't think it's wrong. But let me give you a quote from this. I love this. To recover the white working class, enthralled with Donald Trump's platform of unabashed protectionist ethno-nationalism, the Democrat Party must overcome its image as a cabal of out-of-touch, college-educated cosmopolitans. Lamau. Good luck with that.
You would have to sack half the strip for the leadership.
You would. That's not going to happen. So
the other people think of. I mean, the thing that I'm British. You couldn't pay me enough to live in the United States.
Yeah, I don't.
In terms of like really well-run countries, you need a country like Australia is well-run, that kind of thing. It's just
someone like Florida is probably.
Florida is probably fine as well, and a very similar climate to Queensland, and even lots of bitey things like Queensland does. But it's just, how did they come up with 2 80-plus-year-olds having a?
It's a long discussion that we don't have time for now.
No, I know. It's just because obviously Biden is losing his marbles. He obviously is.
Yeah,
I actually feel bad for him when I see him now.
Yeah, he's gone. But the good news is that the party that is puppeteering him around, like Weekend at Bernie's, is going to get absolutely creamed because, like we saw with the non-white voting demographics, they actually don't want the state to steal their children and transition them. And it turns out that the white working class voters don't want that either. It's weird. It's such a peculiar thing that white voters without a college degree don't seem to think that the Democrats have made them better off. So, wow, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And, and again, just going back to the Trans Day of Visibility, if you're appealing to the white working class voter, is it Trans Day of Visibility or is it Easter Sunday?
And the thing is, I am reasonably sure when Joe Biden said he didn't know what he'd done, I believe him.
Yeah, I believe
I
it too.
suspect
No,
he's
absolutely.
so out to
Yeah.
lunch
But I
that he did not know what he had put his signature on and what he'd signed off on.
don't
And I'm
think it
not
had anything
making
to do with it.
I'm not
Yeah.
making excuses for anybody. The people who did that were
Yeah, yeah.
idiots. Obviously, that's just stupid. But Biden is just not there. He
Well,
does not know what he's doing.
His social media team will be run by millennial progressive women.
Yeah.
Just that simple. But I love the Washington Post coping and seething over this. Perhaps workers just need more time to figure out the Biden administration has improved their lives. It's like, what, when they're filling up their petrol tank? They're like, oh my God, this is 3 times more than it was. How has this happened? Perhaps partisanship has become so entrenched that it shapes Republicans' grim assessment of the economy. Brackets, maybe metaphysics has something to do with it? Question mark, close brackets. Right, I'm not even joking. That's literally a sentence they wrote right here. Maybe metaphysics, something. It's like, yeah, no, you put Trans Day of Visibility over Easter Sunday. Right, every Biden White House personal account was Trans Day of Visibility. Maybe metaphysics has something to do with it. Yeah, possibly, just possibly. And of course, the Israel-Gaza war is probably not helping them because the Democrat Party is full of people who hate Israel, and it's run by people who love Israel, just like both of the parties.
Yep.
So now what?
Yeah, they've just got I do wonder, in light of that, because that's a recent article, there does seem to be more division.
Microphone.
There does seem to be more division emerging over Israel and Gaza since those aid workers died. And look, I am an aid skeptic. I'm fairly well known for this. I've written in the national press about my opinion of foreign aid. I don't think it works. All you can have is free trade with countries, and all the rest of it should basically be scrapped. I've said this for many, many years, and it's a fairly standard centre-right economic position.
Yep.
I honestly don't see the utility of these various humanitarian organisations in the middle of a war zone. It does seem, unfortunately, that the ones who've been killed have been from one of the few outfits that actually does a proper job, which is really unfortunate. Right, because some of them have been captured by Hamas. That's fairly well documented
and
now.
this is a common thing that Israel will throw out and say, oh, no, it's a secret Hamas. Actually, this one looks like it was actually not secretly Hamas.
No, they were trying to do the right
one
thing.
That's actually doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, the point being that's ruining the chances. And so you've got legendary Democrat strategist James Carville, who's like, you know what, guys? Not only have we lost the Browns and we've lost the Whites, we're also losing the men too. So we might have a problem. It's like, yeah, I can't believe that you've lost the men. The party were like, yeah, men are the problem. Men aren't voting for that. So weird. Carville is convinced that...
I mean, this is just something that because it's not just in America.
Yeah.
It's less bad once again, it's one of those ones where it's less bad in Australia, but it still exists. But it exists over here.
Same thing.
Just don't stigmatize half the population. That's a very unwise idea. As soon as it became impossible in any country from the 19th century onwards that mass enfranchise women, and that started in the Commonwealth and then came back to the centre and then to the United States, you couldn't do it anymore.
As all bad
You just can't get away with it. And the thing is, men vote too.
Yep.
And all of this rhetoric that is designed... I just keep this very simple. All of this rhetoric that is designed to stigmatize half the population. Stop.
Well, I mean,
stop right now.
In America, if you were to choose one party that embodied feminism,
it would be the Democrats, and they were worse. They were much worse than Labor has been over here. They are much worse than Labor has been in Australia. They've probably been on par. And to be fair to it's probably worth getting a Canadian like Chris Brunette or somebody in here to talk about this when the election happens, because we think the Tories are facing an extinction event here.
So the
Liberals in Canada are probably going to finish up with like 2. Yeah. This has happened in Canadian politics before, where an entire political party gets reduced to 2 seats and then disappears.
Yeah.
And Trudeau's Liberals are...
What happened to the British Liberals as well?
Yeah, it did. All the strange death of... The entire books, The Strange Death of Liberal England, have been written about this. They sort of came back and just... It's
Now they limp along. As
And now they limp along, yeah.
Yeah. So Carville is convinced that the coalition that won Biden 2020 cannot be reformed. He says, most people think we're going to lose Hispanic males. The young black males become so disengaged from the process. It's happening rapidly. This is a great concern for me. Remember Trump putting out the gold sneakers? You remember that? Trump's gold sneakers, just saying, he's not stupid. He knows his country. He
Gold-
knows his
I
country.
love how
You
big.
could buy, I saw them. I probably still have a photo somewhere, which I will email to you so that you know I'm not making it up.
Mhm.
You could buy gold Christmas decorations with Donald Trump's hair.
Yeah, but
And you could buy not his actual hair, but
Yeah.
his hair was modeled.
Yeah.
And you could buy them
but
from the official Trump
like,
people. And I just remember sitting there thinking that is both incredible tat,
yes.
but also genius.
The thing is that the gold Nike sneakers is like the Kanye West demographic. And they sold out really quickly, which is really funny. Anyway, yeah, James Carville's like, look, we're kind of an anti-white, anti-male, anti-America party. And everyone's realizing that actually America was quite a good thing because their bills have all gone up, which is not great. But one Democrat strategist is confident. Simon Rosenberg he was right about the congressional elections of 2022. There was no red wave. And so he's convinced that actually Biden will defeat Donald Trump in November. So I
The
wonder what he knows that
Republicans
we don't.
are being hampered by abortion.
Yep.
Abortion is a classic example, and this is something that Brits can comment on, and Australians and Canadians can comment on, and it's taken people from lots of other countries like India and France as well, where these issues were dealt with through the political process by a vote by the politicians, not by the courts.
Yeah, but
And now the Republicans worked so hard on getting the courts, and they did.
Yep.
They're like the dog that caught the car,
just a
or
quick,
the dog that caught its tail.
just a quick aside. He's being a lot more cynical. He's like, look, we've been raising crazy more amounts of money than the Republicans, which is probably going to help.
Which has probably helped.
But,
Although money in elections is not as it helps a bit,
Yeah.
but it's not as useful as people think it is.
yeah, it's about how the money's used, which
Yeah.
I don't want to go into. But anyway, things are looking good for Trump. So again, like in 2020, all the indicators. What?
Too big to rig. Sorry, just reading the posters in the background there.
Which is going to be
It's amusing.
which is going to be the
And
kind of
I've got a
victory we're
mental
gonna need.
image because a rig in Australian English is a big truck.
Right.
A
Okay.
big rig is a truck, that one of those, an 18-wheeler that you need
Right,
to
right.
to transport heavy goods long distances. That's a rig.
So Trump is significantly ahead in 6 of the 7 most competitive states in 2024. There are a couple of outliers, but overall the signs are looking good. So if one smug Democrat strategist is like, no, Biden's definitely going to win, interesting.
Weirdly, with the abortion thing, because Trump himself has always been historically pro-choice and is very
Yeah,
wobbly,
he's a
very wobbly on this issue.
90s
because
liberal.
He used to be a blue dog Democrat. That's why he will help assuage the fear of many voters that he's going to do something weird with abortion.
Yeah.
Whereas at the state level, someone like DeSantis or that kind of thing, that's why there was no red wave. It was a ripple. And that's why the Republicans are very much, they worked very hard to win in the courts rather than winning over the people, which is what you need in a democracy. And they very much are like the dog that caught the car. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it, doggo? Or the dog that caught you?
They should just shut up about it.
Yeah, have you had a pet? If you've ever had a pet bully breed, they chase their tails.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, doggo, when you've caught your tail?
But they should just shut up about it because they've won.
Yeah.
They won that. It's down to the states now. So
Yeah,
great.
leave
That's
it.
what you wanted. Good. Yeah,
Fine,
exactly.
leave it.
But anyway, so when asked, no matter what race, age, or gender, more voters say that Trump's policies just helped more than Biden's. I think really that's what it's going to come down to. Oh, wow. Shock and surprise, the kitchen table issues again. But actually, when asked, and literally everyone, only 18% of people say that Biden's helped more, whereas 40% of people say that Trump's did.
There was a very revealing statistical analysis in the FT just after the 2020 election that made the point, and it might have been partly as a result of COVID. So, and I'm fairly sure the journalist in question might have been one of the John Byrne Murdoch. He's very good on the statistics. But one of the things that Trump did manage to achieve in those 4 years is redistribute wealth downwards.
Yeah.
In a way that is actually quite hard to do. And it maybe COVID checks, whatever. I mean, Biden sent COVID checks out as well, though. That's the thing.
I think it's just Trump's view towards deregulation. Trump just wanted a roaring economy. Well, he got it. When you've got a roaring economy, people open businesses. Great. Money's flowing. And in fact, that's exactly the quote from one of the previous articles. This Hispanic guy was just like, well, money was flowing under Trump. That was just, we had money. We could spend money. We could buy things. People were, operating. But this is remarkable because even women, 20% more likely to say that Trump's policies helped them than Biden, despite the fact that Trump, of course, installed the Supreme Court justices who overturned abortion. And overall, the share of women who think Trump's policies helped them stands at 39%, with 26% saying he hurt them and 34% saying he just didn't make a difference. 37% of Hispanic voters say that Trump's policies helped them personally, compared to 15%. This is how the election is going to be won, I think. Just people going, well, yeah, actually, Trump's ran the place well.
Because the American system puts such clear lines between this administration and the next administration, and you can plot it on a chart. It's very precise. Because of that, people can look at what they did in this year and that year and who was in the White House. It's much easier, whereas you don't get that same strong sense in a lot of other places. Americans have a very clear marker.
Yeah, because it's very much team red or team blue.
Yeah.
And yeah, just one Hispanic person here said, just go to the pump in the store and that will tell you everything you need to know about how Biden's policies have hurt me. It's costing me money. What do you want to say? So yeah, it's looking good for Biden, for Trump. It's looking bad for Biden. But the Democrats are smugly sat there going, yeah, well, we know something you don't. Bet you do.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Brokenomics series, this episode on IQ. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.